Hello, students, and welcome to our lesson as we continue to add and subtract fractions. After we finish our do now, which is about setting and achieving goals, we will continue, as I said, on adding and subtracting fractions. Our essential question asks two things. First of all, what key steps should I take when I add or subtract fractions? And why is having a common denominator important? We will watch the video and work on the 17 problems on the next two pages. And it is labeled Homework 3, the page, but we're doing it as classwork. It's got some great problems, and I thought we should do those. Our exit ticket, I'd like you to respond to the question, what is the first thing you should check when you add or subtract a fraction? And for homework tonight, just finish up anything that you did not get completed in class today. Tomorrow is Wednesday. You will have a quiz assignment in Teams, which counts toward a grade and toward attendance. Be sure to click See Results when you are finished, and that submits it and gets it to me for grading, and you'll see your grade in PowerSchool. That is due by 2 p.m. tomorrow, so please don't forget that. Okay, so let's move on. We do have our pumpkin of the day today. It's pumpkins every day this week. The pumpkin has a mask, and this is what I want you to remember, which is to keep smiling behind your mask. So let's move on to our lesson. And this is our do now that we discussed in class already. Why should you set and achieve goals? And should you set goals if you aren't sure that you can achieve them? And I say always try. I always say that you should try to do it, and you may not always be successful with everything you set out to do, but do the best you can. It's always worth a try. If you don't try, you won't have accomplished anything, and that goes for schoolwork or sports or anything. Again, this is our exit ticket. What is the first thing you should check when you add or subtract fractions? So let's get started. So we're going to find each sum or difference. So when we convert 1 2/5, we have same denominator already. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7/5, plus 4/5 equals 11/5, which we will reduce to 2 1/5. Number 2, we have eighths already, so this is an easier one. We have 5/8 minus, now 8 times 1 is 8, plus 7 is 15. So our answer, we know, will be in eighths, but we have a greater number being taken from a lesser number, which will give us, it's just like doing 5 minus 15, and this would be a positive 5. And that would give us negative 10. So that would be negative 10/8, and 10 and 8 can be divided by 2, which will give us negative 5/4. And we can also rename this as a mixed number of 1 1/4, because 5 divided by 4 is 1 with 1/4 left over. We'll convert this to eighths, so we will have 7/8 plus 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 2 is 6. Working with eighths, 7 plus 6 is 13, and 13 divided by 8 is 1 with 5/8 left over. Number 4, the least common multiple of 5 and 6. Well, let's look at the multiples of 6. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. Okay, that's also a multiple of 5. So that will be our new denominator. And 5 times 6 is 30, 4 times 6 is 24, 6 times 5 is 30, 1 times 5 is 5. Keeping the denominator, subtracting 24 minus 5 is 19, and that is a final answer. Number 5, we need 6. So if we turn this into 6, 1 1/3 would equal 1 2 6. 3 times 2 is 6, 1 times 2 is 2. Now let's turn that into a mixed number. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So we have 8 6 plus 5 6, which equals 13 6, which we will, let me just write that down. And if we divide 13 by 6, we will make that a mixed number. So 2 times 6 is 12, with 1 6 left over. And that's our final answer. Number 6, 2 1/4 is 9/4, because 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So that's 9/4 minus 2/3. Now we need to get a common denominator, which when we have a 4 and a 3, our common denominator will be 12. 4 times 3 is 12, so 9 times 3 is 27. 3 times 4 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 8. So we've got 27/12 minus 8/12 equals 19/12, which is 1 whole and 7/12 left over. Number 7. Or you can convert the denominator first or go straight to mixed numbers. Let's go to mixed. Let's go to mixed numbers first. So 6 times -3 is -18, plus 5 is -23 over 6, minus 8 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 32, plus 3 is 35, sorry. I meant to write 35/8. Okay, we need to change all of this to a number that is a common multiple. So the multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24. And 24 is also a multiple of 8, because 8, 16, 24. So 24 is the least common multiple of both of those numbers. So if we turn this into 24ths, remember it's a negative number. So 6 times 4 is 24. 23 times 4 is 92. So 8 times 3 is 24, and 35 times 3 is 105. So let's change a color. Let's take a look at the numerators. We have a -92 minus 105. So that is an integer. Think of it like this. -92 minus 105. So the answer would be -197. So that means our answer is -197 over 24. Well, 24 does go into 197 8 times, with 5/24 left over, and that's a negative. So that is our final answer. Number 8 is one of those tricky ones where we are subtracting a negative, and the best way to deal with that is to make them positive. So let's think about the common denominator. We can have 6, 12. Oh, okay, 12 is divisible by 6 and 4. So 12 will be our denominator. But first, let's turn them into improper fractions. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So it's going to be -11/4 plus 6 times 3 is 18, plus 5 is 23. over 6. Now we need that common denominator of 12. So negative, it's going to be 12ths. 4 times 3 is 12. 11 times 3 is 33. Negative 33 twelfths plus 6 times 4 is, 6 times 2 is 12. 23 times 2 is 46. Now remember, we're combining negative 33 plus 46. And the rule for integers is we ignore the sign, we subtract, and we take the sign of the larger number, which here is positive. So it would be positive 13 twelfths, and 13 twelfths can be simplified to 1 and 1/12. Okay, I'm going to erase this so it's not in our way when we work on the next couple of problems. So next we have 6 and 9/10 minus 1/6. So 10 times 6 is 60 plus 9 would be 69 over same denominator of 10 minus 1/6. So what is our denominator going to be? What's the smallest denominator that is also a multiple, the smallest number that is also a multiple of 10 and 6, and that would be 30. So 10 times 3 is 30. 69 times 3 is 207. Minus 6 times 5 is 30. 1 times 5 is 5. So 207 thirtieths minus 5 thirtieths equals 202 thirtieths, which we can immediately divide by 2 and turn into 101/15, or 101 divided by 15 is 6 and 11/15. Number 10, the numbers are getting bigger. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25. 6 plus 3 times 12 is 36, plus 11 is 47 twelfths. Now, we can make 12 our multiple, but we need to multiply 6 times 2 and 25 by 2. So 6 times 2 is 12, 25 times 2 is 50, plus 47 twelfths equals 97 twelfths. And we will divide 97 divided by 12 is 8 and 1/12. So 8 and 1/12 is our final answer. Number 11, we have a negative number, be careful with that. So 12 times 2 is 24, plus 7 is 31. So that's a negative 31/12 plus 4/9. Now we need a common multiple. Well, the multiples of 12 are 12, 24, 36. Multiples of 9 are 9, 18, 27, 36. That's our least common multiple. So 12 times 3 is 36. 31 times 3 is 93, and that's a negative number. Can't forget that. Plus 9 times 4 is 36. 4 times 4 is 16. So negative, I'm going to write down here, negative 93 plus 16. So remember, we have a positive, we're adding together a negative and a positive. So we subtract and take the sign of the larger absolute value. That would give us negative 77/36 And 36 divided by 77 is 2. It's still negative, with 536 left over. Now, we're adding a negative, which is the same as simply subtracting. So 10 times 2 is 20, plus 9 is 29 tenths, minus 15 times 1 is 15, plus 7 is 22 fifteenths. Now we need a common multiple. Multiples of 15 are 15, 30, and that is also a multiple of 10. So this first fraction will stay the same, 29 tenths. I'm sorry, I just made a mistake. Our first fraction will not stay the same. Our first fraction will become, let's change our color, will become 30ths. And 10 times 3 is 30. 29 times 3 is 87. Okay, and then our second denominator is 30ths. 15 times 2 is 30. 22 times 2 is 44. So we have 87 minus 44, which is 43 over 30. And 30 divided by 43 is 1 and 13 thirtieths. And now we have some word problems. The bathtub is filled with 38 and 1/3 gallons of water. If 2 3/5 gallons splash out, how much water is left in the tub? This is a subtraction problem. 38 and 1/3 minus 2 3/5. So let's work with the denominators first. So we have factors of 5 are 5, 10, 15, and 15 is also, or multiples, excuse me, and 15 is also a multiple of 3. So our new denominator will be 15. So we'll have 38, and 3 times 5 is 15, 1 times 5 is 5, and 5/15 minus 2, and 5 times 3 is 15, 3 times 3 is 9, minus 2 and 9/15. Now, we cannot take 9 away from 5, so we'll need to borrow and make that a 37, and then we will add 15 to the numerator, which will give us 37 and 15 plus 5, 20/15 minus 2 and 9/15. So 37 minus 2 is 35, working in 15ths. 20 minus 9 is 11. Our unit of measure is gallons. So there are 35 and 11/15 gallons left. Number 14. Rob ran 6 2/3 miles on Saturday and 4 11/16 miles on Sunday. Find the total miles. This is an addition problem. 6 2/3 plus 4 11/16. So we need a common denominator. The multiples of 16 are 16, 32, 48. And 48 is also a multiple of 3. So how many 48ths? 3 goes into 48. 16 times. 16 times 2 is 32. 4 plus 4, and again, our denominator is 48. 16 goes into 48 3 times, and 11 times 3 is 33. Now we're adding, so we have 6 plus 4 is 10. Let me write that a little more neatly. 6 plus 4 is 10. We have 48. 32 plus 33 is 65. Now, 65 over 48 is an improper fraction. 65, let's just make a sidebar here, over 48 equals 1 and 17/48. So we will add this 1 to the 10 for 11 and 17/48. And that is miles. Okay, this looks like our last problem for today. Oh, no, 2 more. 3 more. A movie is 1 7/8 hours long. We're working in hours. After 45 minutes, how much of the movie is left? So, this is really tricky. We have to think about hours versus minutes when we do this one. So we have 1 7/8. We have to convert 45 to a fraction. 45, let's write down 1 7/8 minus 45 over 60, 60 minutes in an hour. 45 is divisible by 15 3 times. 60 is divisible by 15 4 times. Okay, so it's 1 7/8 minus 3/4. So let's turn the mixed number here into an improper fraction. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 7 more is 15/8. And 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 2 is 6. So we have 15/8 minus 6/8, which is 9/8 of an hour. But that's an improper fraction. Let's turn it into a mixed number. So that would be 1 1/8 of an hour. Okay, Kate, let's see what Kate did. She made a pan of brownies. She gave 1/4 of the pan to Maggie and 2/5 of the pan to Scott. How much was left over? This is a little bit tricky. We're going to add 1/4 and 2/5. And after we do that, we're going to subtract it from 1. From 1 whole pan of brownies. So first we add 1/4 and 2/5. And we'll have a common denominator of 20. 4 times 5 is 20. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 2 times 4 is 8. So 8 and 5 make 13/20. Now we're going to subtract that from 1 to find out. We just want to know the leftover, how much is left. So our problem will be 1 minus 13/20. But we're going to rewrite 1 as 20 over 20. So now we'll have 20 over 20 minus 13/20, which will give us 7/20. Let's remember our unit of measure is actually the pan. So 7/20 of a pan of brownies left. And now our last problem. And you can't have fractions without a problem about gardening. So the dimensions of a rectangular garden are 12 1/2 feet by 16 3/4 feet. If 1 5/8 feet is added to all the sides, find the new dimensions of the garden. So we have 2 problems here. We're going to add 12 1/2 to 1 5/8, and then we're going to add 16 3/4. to 1 5/8, and we're working in feet. So first, 12 1/2 plus 1 5/8. Our numerator will be eighths. Let's change the numerators first. So 2 times 4 is 8, 1 times 4 is 4, so that would be 12 4/8 plus 1 5/8. So 12 plus 1 is 13. We're working in eighths. 5 plus 4 is 9, and 9/8 can be converted to 1 1/8, which we will add the 1 to the 13, so that will be 14 1/8. That's only one of the problems. Now we'll do the second problem. 16 3/4 plus 1 5/8. And let's keep it at eighths. So 16 1/4. 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 2 is 6. So that would be 16 6/8 plus 1 5/8. 16 plus 1 is 17. 6 plus 5 is 11. And 11/8 equals 1 3/8. So we'll add 1 to the 17 to make 18 3/8. And this is feet. So final answer, 14 1/8 feet by 18 3/8 feet. So good job today. They're getting harder and harder. What's the first thing you should check when you add, subtract a fraction? Check to see if there is a common denominator. Because when you add or subtract fractions, you must have a common denominator. Good job today. I'm glad you're working hard. Make sure you show me your notes so you can get credit for all your hard work. Keep it up and you'll be great.